All right, let me check Facebook to make sure we're running on all cylinders. I'll see that we're live here. Gonna automatically, looks like we're good on YouTube. Give it a second to refresh. Um, all right, come on, load. Well, it's not showing as of yet that we're streaming on Facebook. Let me refresh again. All right, we're good on Facebook. All right, so welcome, welcome, my people. Hope everybody's doing well today. We're back for another episode. And let me pull this down. I'll put people's name up here before I introduce them, like it's going to be a surprise when I actually introduce them. Anyway, so we're back another episode of Legacy Dialogues. For those of you who've been coming along the journey with me, I started this literally on the 31st of December 2024, and the whole aim was at least every 2 weeks. I bring in a couple different guests. We stream live and we discuss what they do, the value they bring to the world, and how they're leaving a legacy by what it is that they are doing. Now, I like to bring a plethora, a variety, spectrum of different types of individuals to you guys so that you can see something that you may be able to relate to. Something that you may be able to say, wow, he went from this to that, and now he's been able to make the impact that he's making or that she's making. I'm in this situation right now. I have this past. Maybe it's possible for me as well. So the gentleman that you have, or that I'm going to bring before you today, I met him probably about a year or so ago, maybe a little bit longer. I want to say, yeah, a little bit longer. And and we just connected on a pretty genuine level. He has something, or he had something that he was really trying to push out there and get into the hands of the masses. And I saw value in it. While at the same time, I saw a few things that maybe could take, a tweak here or there. But ultimately, I saw the person behind the mission. And for those of you who know me, I don't move just based off of what someone placed in front of me. I move based off of who that person is, where their heart is, what their mission is, the impact that they're desiring to make. So that's why this relationship has been able to survive and grow as long as it has. So without saying too much more, I'm going to go ahead and bring to you Mr. Michael Childers. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, Brian, man, I am so blessed and highly favored. Thank you
Man,
for
it's a
having me.
pleasure. It's a pleasure. I know whenever we've been going back and forth for some months now, and we had that
Yeah.
conversation about a month or so ago, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Based off of what you have to offer, based off of the audience that I have, the influence that I have, based off of my track record with my audience, let me put you in front of some people that I know can see the value in what you do, but also that can emotionally connect to who you are. Um, and one of the things that always stands out to me, and I do it intentionally, is I learn so much more about the person that I'm interviewing whenever we're setting up for and going through the interview process than I ever knew before. So I'm reading through the bio that you sent over, like, wow, I didn't know this about him. I didn't know that about him. So I love to hear it and experience it and respond to it at the same time as lots of my audience. So we'll just go ahead and dive head first. Kind of tell the people who is Michael Childers, where are you located, what are the things that culminated that brought you before me today?
Oh man, that's a story we could be here for like a month. That's years and years and years in the making. But I've been very blessed. I'm from Arizona originally, born and raised, and I moved to California, and then I moved to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. And I had some health issues back in 2018. I actually had a stroke. I've done sales my entire life, and it affected the communication part of my brain. And someone would give me a simple objection, and I couldn't overcome it. An hour after they left, I'm like, oh, all I had to do was say this, Brian, and it would have been a deal. And so, as you know, being a leader, that there's nobody harder on ourselves than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I beat myself up, and I worked with my wife, and we realized that the stroke was in the communication part of my brain. And I was very blessed because it could have been where I couldn't make a word. It was just in my short-term memory is where it affected. And so I asked for help, and I'm a believer in if you ask for it,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get it. And so I prayed, and I didn't pray for myself. I prayed to help others come up with disposable income because I saw that as the biggest problem why people weren't purchasing with me is they needed more disposable income. And so I said, wouldn't it be great if I could help people come up with an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month or more? And I woke up at 3 in the morning on fire with a need to write, and I just started writing this business plan down. I had no idea what it was, and this went on for 6 weeks, and we created a business called Lunch Money Club. And Lunch Money Club is taking direct marketing and affiliate marketing and shifting the paradigm into some place that it's never been before. It's designed to help everybody win, which is so cool. And that's how I found you. And when I told you about it, you're like, holy smokes, man, Mike, your heart is in the right place and you care. And this is designed to help. So I'm very thankful that you saw value in it as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. And oftentimes people overcomplicate business when they're looking to develop something. They feel like they have to recreate the wheel, and I have to say that I was someone in that mindset once upon a time when I was when I went back to school to get my master's degree. I wanted to create all these
Yeah.
programs for this specific population, but I didn't really care about the history. I said it's not being done right now, so let me create something that's done right. So when I was in my like social work policy class and all these things that told me about what's already in place, I kind of dismissed it and
Yeah.
said, let me just recreate the wheel. And it was only after I went
Right.
to do my doctoral studies that I realized I should have paid attention in those policy classes, in those classes that told me what's already out there, because I could just take what's already there, add my own twist
Yep.
to it. I saved myself so much headache, so much work, but it's specialized to me because I added my own twist. So there's definitely I'm not gonna say a lot, but there's shopping clubs out there. There's travel clubs out there. There's various different things out there that someone may just take a premature look at what you have to offer and just automatically start to say, oh well, I saw this over there, I saw this over there. And I'm gonna let you kind of dive deeper into, specifically what Lunch Money Club is, who it's for, so on and so forth. But I kind of want to, take it in a progressive process. Now, I like to take notes whenever I'm talking with people, so I can
Yes,
go
sir.
back and kind of address some of the things that you mentioned. So, for one, you had a stroke. And my
Yes.
dad had a stroke on the back end of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I just kind of saw how it affected his life. Thankfully, it didn't do too much to his mental faculties. It was more physical
Yep.
for him. So it has more of a limp now when he walks, but he has been able to recover pretty well. But one of the things that it hit me when I saw him going through
Yep.
the initial process of recovery was how you got to humble yourself, and like you don't have a choice. And he
Yeah.
had to accept help that his independent self in the past could just do for himself. And it humbles you. And it just made me think about taking life so much more seriously, by taking my health so much more seriously. You can't prevent everything, but there are some things you can kind of, mitigate to a certain degree. But in saying that, you got to the point where you were willing to ask for help. And I would assume that you being in that aspect of, being willing to ask for help, you knew there's other people out there, kind of tying it into your sales and then the creation of Lunch Money Club. You knew there's probably other people out there that need help, but they don't want to ask for it. They don't know how to ask for it.
Yeah.
So you created what you created to be able to kind of put it in front of people and say, hey, look, this may be a solution to your problem that you didn't necessarily tell me you have, but based off of how you were moving or weren't moving with your money, it looks like this may be a potential solution for you. So I love just that progression of thought process, understanding of the world around you and how you can be of impact to it. Now, before we move further and go too much deeper into Lunch Money Club, give me a little bit more about your background. Now, lots of people, when it comes to entrepreneurship, they don't really take a whole lot into consideration about their background. They see a
Yeah.
lifestyle, they say, I want that lifestyle, so I'm going to start a business, I'm going to be my own boss, I'm going to create something to make money, I'm going to do Amazon affiliate this, I'm going to do drop ship that, something that has nothing to do with who they are, with anything in their past. To kind of give us some a little more insight on what actually, let's go back a little bit further, because something in your
Yeah.
bio that jumped out to me. You used to be a cheerleader. Now, some of my closest friends, one of my best buddies, he lives in Texas now, I think. No, he's in a travel trailer, he and his wife and their son. I don't know if they have a set geographical place where they stay right now, but he was a cheerleader at my local university. Developed a real good
Yeah.
close relationship with him. So like he came to mind when I heard you, or when I read that you used to hold up girls as cheerleaders.
Yes.
So kind of tell us a little bit about that stage of life, and then we'll jump into the professional stuff.
Oh man, I was actually 27 years old
Really?
when I became a cheerleader. I was older than the
Wow.
coaches.
How did this
So
happen?
when I went into well, it's kind of crazy. When I went to university, I went fresh out of high school and tried to open my own business a couple times because I've always been an entrepreneur trying to find a way to help and do things. And my grades suffered because, when you come into college, university, it's you're on a whole different track, you know. And so I went, and they said, Mike, we don't even want
Mm,
your money. Go away. They put me on academic
wow.
suspension. Point 0.9
Hold on,
GPA.
say it again.
Point
Oh
0.9
Lord.
GPA. Point 0.9. And so one of my best friends and workout partners, his name is Dave Egan's, and he was a recruiter for Northern Arizona University. And he was also a weatherman for Channel 2. And so he says, Mike, we got to get you back in school. And so he took me under his wing, and he actually took me to the library after our workouts and would do my homework and got me on the path for a semester until I learned how to do it correctly. So he helped me so much and put me on the path back into school. Then I take a scuba class. Long story long. Sorry
Mm.
about that. I meet this really cute blonde lady. Her name was Mindy. And I'm like, man, this girl's cute. And she says, well, Mike, you ought to be a cheerleader. I went, what? What are you? I'm trying to go on a date with you, and you're telling me I need to be a cheerleader. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know about this. She says, just Mike, just come try out. And so then I go and try out, and I start throwing these girls in the air, and I'm catching them. And you have to look up when you're holding them. You have to, because if they fall, you got to catch them. So you're trying to be a gentleman, but you got to look up. It's like, oh my
Right.
gosh. And so I became a cheerleader there, and it was my senior year in college. We took second in the nation, and it was amazing. UCLA beat
Nice.
us.
Well, not nice.
It was just so awesome.
Wow. That's crazy, man. See, that's another part of your story that like jumped out to me. And you just mentioned the academic suspension, the point 0.9 GPA. Like that's another overlap. Like I got academically suspended. Now I dropped from
No.
coming out of high school 3.89. I dropped down to a
Yes.
1.67. And they said, get out of here. You got to be gone at least a year. We like, bye,
Yep.
just go. And
Just
yeah, and it was that was the same year that I got my well, eventually, my wife, I got her pregnant with our firstborn. So here I was,
wow.
kicked out of school, got a child on the way, and I was working at McDonald's at the time.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, I can relate, and I like to touch on those aspects of our story because oftentimes people see us in these beautiful photos in Cabo San Lucas, and they're like, "Man, he must born with a silver spoon, living a good life. Life
No.
was easy. If only I could." Well, you probably can because most of the people who are out there that think that they're struggling on a day to day, they didn't get kicked out of college the way that we did, but it's one of the
Yep.
things that I really pour into lots of my entrepreneurs, and it's why I labeled or I call my business what I call it. Your legacy begins now. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to let what happened before today dictate what's going to happen in the future. Use it as a lesson.
I have goosebumps. I have
Yes.
goosebumps. You're amazing.
And that's the
Yes.
thing. So many of us, we get caught up in the environment that we're setting in right now. You have to look around you and just laugh. Like, this is only a chapter of my story. This
Yeah.
book is going to end so much more beautifully, but it's up to us. We can't depend on anyone else. So many people, especially in today's day, that political figure, that celebrity, that like these people are going to save me. No, nobody's coming
Yeah.
to your rescue.
No.
You have to
If
do
it's
it.
if it's up to be, it's up to me.
Exactly. And
You know?
that can be scary, but that's empowering at the same time because if it's in somebody else's hands, you're pretty much saying, I'm helpless. I can't do it for myself. If they don't do it, it's not going to happen. No, that's not how it works. It's in your hands. So, regardless of what they do, you have the heaviest impact on what direction your life goes in. So, after you met this gentleman that helped you get back on track, you met, this beautiful woman that got you into cheerleading.
Yeah.
What was that next stage of life like after cheerleading was over? You got into the professional world. Kind of walk us through getting into the professional world and then ultimately getting, through your career, um, all the way leading up until the stroke.
Okay. Well, I was working for a company called WL Gore, Gore-Tex. They make the vascular grafts. They do the jackets and things like that. They're a fantastic company to work for, and they work on my schedule all through school. And I almost left them to be a
Mm,
cheerleader. And I said, "Hey guys, I've been offered this opportunity to leave and become a cheerleader." They're like, "Mike, no, no, no. We want you to stay because we want to put you in a sales job because you have that gift and you'll work well with our doctors." I said, "Okay." And so they actually worked their schedule around my cheerleading career. I mean, a multi-billion
wow.
dollar company doing that. It's like, wow. So did this path. And then right when I graduated, my job was eliminated. The upper management of WL Gore changed and they no longer wanted me in sales. And this was like a kick in the teeth. And so I met with upper management. They said, "Well, Mike, you have no experience in medical sales. Uh, we suggest you do this or that. And if you really want to have a job, you can move yourself to Kentucky from Flagstaff, Arizona, and we'll pay you $27,000 a year. You're on call 24 hours a day, and you've got to move yourself there." And I'm like, wow, I can make that at Safeway, checking
Right?
groceries without the stress and without that. So I said, well, I think this is where our paths are going to separate. And then I get telemarketed to go to Sedona, Arizona, and I meet a guy named Steven Snow, and he sold vacation ownership. And I'm like, holy smokes, Steven, this is amazing. I said, what is this? He says, well, it's timeshare, it's vacation ownership. And I force people to vacation and do nice things for their families. I'm like, and you're working in Sedona. This is the most beautiful place I've seen in forever. And he says, I said, do you make money at this? He says, well, I support 5 kids very
Mm.
well. And I'm like, huh. I said, how do I get a job? He says, well, you have to have a real estate license. And I said, matter of fact, I have one because I'm a hustler. I do all my little things. I've got all these irons in the fire. He says, well, then you have to buy one. And he showed me a package. And at that time, it was $27,000. And I was making $16,500 a year. And I said, well, I guess I'm not working here. Then they did some things. They made it affordable for me. And I started a month later.
Wow.
And I tell you, it's been almost 30 years of helping families travel and do things in high ticket luxury
Got
sales
it.
for vacations. And it's amazing. I've got a good relationship with thousands and thousands of clients and sales reps that either have trained me or I've trained them. And it's neat to have that kind of impact where you can actually take somebody who has a zero point 0.9
Mm.
GPA and turn them into where they can own real estate, have houses. I'm currently living in San Diego, California, and in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So it's a blessing.
That's a
So
blessing, and that's a dream that most people remove themselves from when they wake up. So
yes,
that's one of the things. A dream doesn't have to stay a dream. When you have value, and I wrote that down because I'm thinking about you coming straight out of college, them making a way for you, even though cheerleading was kind of in their way. They saw the value that you
yeah,
brought to the table, so they said, we're going to make this work for Mike. So they made it work.
yeah,
Now you worked there, things were good. So the relationships is key. Building strong relationships is key. But even when you do, and this is why I really encourage people to start to navigate into the entrepreneurship space, regardless of how good you are at what you do, how good the relationship you think is, you can still be let go. And
100%.
eventually they pretty much told you deuces, like, we're not willing to pay you, to do what you do anymore. But the fact that you have value, the fact that you were someone
Yeah,
that wasn't settling on anything, like as you mentioned, you were a hustler, you were going after something greater than yourself. When another opportunity popped up, you were already in alignment with it. Now,
yep,
financially, you weren't at a place to where you could take advantage of it like that, but relationships, the value you brought to the table, the fact that you were a go-getter, they say, you know what, we need this guy. We're gonna figure it out, and they got you in. So, I love to help people realize and understand that don't just take a no that life throws at you and just turn in a
yep,
different direction. Don't just accept the first closed door as defeat. Realize, what,
yes,
there's probably another door that leads to that same room. That door might not even be locked. um, Somebody else may actually walk through that door, and I can, like, never allow one closed door to make you give up on what you're going after. So
Hey, Brian, can I
definitely,
sidetrack just for a
definitely.
second? Because this is a story. Now, unfortunately, a lot of your followers might be too young to relate to this. But back in the day, before we were born, there was a guy named Houdini. Do you remember Harry
Hmm.
Houdini? So Harry Houdini, and when you said this about the locked door, it popped up the rabbits, the squirrels in my brain just started kicking. They're like, oh my God, you got to tell this story. Well, Houdini was known for being able to escape anything. He was a master lockpick. So he could open up any lock, and he had little secret passages, little things in his belt, and he had wire and all this stuff. And he was known to be able to go into any jail, and whenever he'd go do a show in a town, he'd go to that jail, and he would escape from whatever jail cell they put him in. And so finally he goes to, I believe, London, and they said, we have an escape proof prison cell nobody can ever get out of. And they said, okay. And so they lock him in this room, or they put him in the room and shut the door, and he's trying for
uh,
an hour. he breaks out his little wire out of his belt, and he's doing everything to pick this lock, and he is so frustrated, sweat's coming down his forehead, all the stuff. He's about to give up because he can't pick this lock. It's unpickable. And then he leans on the door, and it falls open.
Wow.
The guard who locked him in was so enthralled that he had Harry Houdini in his jail cell, forgot to lock the door. And if Harry would have just given up and said, "Hey, I can't get out," he would have never leaned against the door, never opened. So when the door's there, sometimes you do just got to lean on it, man.
Yeah.
And so
And
hard.
I'm glad that you told that story, and it kind of just kind of opens the door, no pun intended, for me to
Yeah.
kind of share not necessarily a story, but um, I don't know how many viewers we have that have any type of spiritual base or foundation, but I I don't claim any specific denomination. I have a high respect for religions of the world, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, so many different sections of various different religions. I love what they represent. So I kind of include them into who I am. Anyways, I say
Yes.
that to say, um, I was I fell asleep. So the way I usually work is I'm working on one screen, on another screen. I may have a little bit of work that I'm doing, but usually I have like a YouTube video playing in the background. Something just to kind of go into my subconscious. Like I'm not really paying attention, but I'm absorbing it. So it's something of value. It's
Yes.
not just, random junk. It's something of value. So I was working and I actually fell asleep with the video playing, and I'm dreaming, and I was in this classroom, and my dream, and it was kind of a lucid dream, I guess, to certain degree,
Yes.
because I was hearing the video that was playing on YouTube, but in my dream, I thought it was the professor that was speaking, and it was in
Right.
direct alignment with the things that I'm going through in life. Like all of the
Wow.
messages were in direct alignment with what I was going through. I remember being in the dream, like in tears, because I'm like, you're talking directly to my situation. I literally woke up a couple times to like wipe my eyes. Now I woke
Wow.
up the next morning, and it was one of those like live stream videos, and it was repeating. And I woke
Yes.
up and I'm listening. This is the same thing I dreamt about, and it was every single message was speaking directly to things that I was going through, challenges that I was going through. And there were doors that seemed like they were closing. There were some doors that were closing, and I was trying to open them back up, but I should have let them stay closed. So I'm listening to these messages.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to sit back and just let be sometimes. Oftentimes we go too hard after something that we think we want, but it's really not meant for us. So, I say that to say, whenever certain things happen in life, take a second to evaluate it. Take a second to ask yourself,
Yeah.
why did that just happen to me? Oftentimes we're too quick to react and get all emotionally charged about a situation without evaluating, why did that happen? What is the value in that? How can I use that moving forward? And I woke up that morning and I was just on fire. I was productive beyond production. I was getting things done left and right. It was like I just went into this robotic state of just focus. Sat down, got to work, focused. Things is happening left and right. So, just in that message, just thinking about what you mentioned with Houdini and doors opening and doors not opening, or doors not opening and then them actually opening when you weren't expecting them to open. Things are going to happen in our lives when we least expect it. But oftentimes we
Yes.
react too quickly to where we don't even go to that door that was meant to open for us because we were too emotionally charged. So,
Exactly.
to just kind of make a little segue, going from being this, luxury high ticket salesperson to having your stroke. So kind of speak to what that shift in life was. So immediately, thereafter, so when the stroke happened, immediately thereafter, and then like the 3 a.m., you waking up and you're just starting to write. That takes me to Sigmund Freud, dream analysis, and like really jumping into what you saw in your dream and taking action on it to kind of take us from, you're this successful high ticket salesperson, you have a stroke, and then life changes. Walk us through that.
Yeah. So right before I start that, I've got to tie in something that you do, which goes hand in hand with what you just said. And one of the best things I admire about you and your teachings and your coaching and your trainings, Brian, is you don't teach people to react. You teach them to
Hmm.
respond. And so that is when a situation happens, when life happens, when you get a red light or somebody cuts you off, instead of just immediately reacting, oh my God, that guy cut me off. What? You're like, well, let's maybe what's going on in his life? Where can we take a different direction? And maybe that just saved me from getting in an accident up the
Hmm.
road where, it really slowed us
Right.
down, so you seek to respond, which is very, very, and seek to understand when you ask people questions, instead of seeking to answer, you want to seek to understand where they're coming
Right.
from. So what happened with the stroke, sorry
No,
for
I
sidetracking on
appreciate
that.
that.
So what happened is I was working with the company and a friend of mine says, Mike, come over to this other company. And this is after the stroke. And I just couldn't grasp the new product and some of the closing techniques they were trying to use. And it just wasn't resonating. And it was just being beat down and beat down and beat down by the management. Because one of the things also, if you're not producing, then it's always, well, it's your fault. It's not the client's
Hmm.
fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. And if you're not producing in sales, that's hurting your paycheck, which is adding more stress to your life, which is add stress to your relationship. And luckily, I have a very understanding wife who used to be an animal trainer at
Wow.
SeaWorld, which is kind of cool. I met her on Match.com,
Nice.
so I'm very, very blessed. And so it kind of led into that. And so when she took basically the time to help, when you find yourself a good partner or a good relationship, you try to help each other and lift each other up more than, it's all about me and push me down. And so I'm very, very blessed to have someone like that in my life who is taking me in and trying to lift me up as well. And she says, okay, well, let's look at where the stroke was. And so when we pulled up the MRI, you could see that it was like right here. And had it been higher up, people who have had strokes there couldn't even form a sentence. And had it been lower, people can't even form
Mm.
words. And so it was in the perfect, if you're going to have a stroke, I guess, if it was in the perfect place where it didn't affect me adversely, as far as it didn't mess up my features, it didn't mess up my walk like your
Hmm.
dad. It just affected my short-term memory, trying to grasp new concepts, and answering or responding to a simple objection like, I don't vacation. And an hour after they left, I said, well, if you had this, you would vacation. But I couldn't say that when I was talking to the people. I'm like, oh my God. And so that's what led into the whole situation. And so when I woke up at 3 a.m. and I started to write this down on this yellow piece of paper, my wife's in bed and it's dark, and I come into the living room. I'm looking at the ocean, and I'm just writing like a madman. She gets up at 6 o'clock and she says, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. She says, "Stop talking. You're not making sense. I haven't had coffee yet. No, 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 no." And say, okay, okay. And then I went to work and I continued to write. It was like a divine download. And it went on and on and on. And I knew that if I didn't get out of bed, and here's what I encourage everybody who sees this message, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, if you have the feeling or the need or the desire to write something down and you're like, oh no, it'll be there when I get up in an
Nope.
hour. No, man, get out of bed, go write this thing down. And that's what I did. And it just kept coming and coming. And I'm looking at this yellow paper and it didn't make sense. And I'm just writing. And then what helped it come to fruition was one of my clients at this resort I was working at. He's a startup attorney. His name is Tim Collins. And I told him about stuff and he says, okay, that's cool. And I didn't tell him about the business idea because it was still in formulation, you know? And he reached out because I keep in contact with my clients. And he says, hey, Mike, I'm coming down for Thanksgiving. You want to get together? I'm like, absolutely. I said, would you mind taking a look at my idea? And he's a startup attorney. And my wife is to the point where she didn't want to hear about it anymore because I tried to tell her, and she's like, look, unless it's legal, I don't want to hear anything about it. Because it sounded too
Yeah.
good to be true, because it's all about sharing and helping people and rewarding people who are helping you, everybody else. Because it's all about, when you look at life, it's not so much what you can get, it's more about what you can
Yeah.
give. And the happiest people in life are the ones who share the most. And when you share something, you don't share to get a thank you. You share because you feel good with sharing. There's a book by Khalil Gibran called The Prophet. And he talks about, he says, give why the season of giving is yours, because someday all you have will be given. So you enjoy the art of giving. And so Tim reaches out, he comes down, long story long, and we're by the pool, and I show him my yellow pad of paper, and it's this big, thick yellow pad. And I said, here, Tim, and I walked him through some of these things. And he looked at me, he says, Mike, he says, I can't be your attorney. I'm like, okay, Tim, why? He says, I've never seen anything like this. This is probably one of the neatest things I've ever seen. And I need to be an investor or a partner. And I said, really? I said, would you tell that to my wife? Absolutely. So I get on my cell phone and I call. I say, hey, babe, we've got company coming over for dinner tonight. My wife really loves surprises.
Okay.
like all wives, they really love surprises, right? And so she's like, okay, who's coming? Why? And so Tim and his wife, Carrie, come over to our house. And I said, Tim, would you mind telling Jessica what you think about my idea? And he's like, blah. And then Jessica's like, okay, this is an attorney saying this. Let's do this. And then we started to progress. And that was in the later half of 2019. And we started into a business plan, and then 2020 happened.
Yeah.
You know, and it just kind of built and built, and then we finally launched. And talk about obstacles. Oh my gosh, if there was an obstacle to hit, we hit it, but then I'd ask for assistance and I'd get help. And then I'd hit another obstacle, and then I asked for assistance, and then Brian came out of the nowhere. It's like, boom, hey, Mike, this little thing, you've got this, why don't you just tweak this little thing right here, and that'll help, and it's like, huh, that's a good idea. And so it's like if you look at the best machines or best resorts or best anything, it's not just one person that makes it happen. It's an army behind that one.
That's so true. So true. We keep coming back to this ask and ye shall receive. And that's something, especially as men, and I'm sure you can attest to it. It's sometimes it can be difficult for us to ask for help, but when we get outside of that, and I have a little magnet on my door, and I was living in my old residence for almost 10 years, and it was on my door going outside. So if I'm conscious enough, I'll stop and I'll read it before I go outside. It says life begins on the other side of your comfort zone. So you have to get comfortable with asking for help, because as I was told when I was coming up, a closed mouth don't get fed. So figuratively and
Yep.
literally, if your mouth is closed, you can't eat, you can't be fed. But a closed
Yeah.
mouth, if you don't talk about where you need help, no one can come and help you. If you don't open your
Yeah.
mouth and let it be known what value you can give to the world, you can't get any or give any value, and you won't in turn receive whatever you need to receive, so you can eat. So ultimately, open your
Yes.
mouth and let it be known where you need help, because you never know that the exact person you need to turn around your life is in earshot of you opening your mouth and asking your question. Or you have
Yeah.
something of value to give, but you're like, I don't know. They might not like it. They may not see the value in it. You never know when the exact person that is ready to invest in what you have to offer is right there in front of you. So it's one of the reasons why I'm very particular whenever I work with people in entrepreneurship space, and I ask a lot of questions beforehand, like, why are you doing this? What is the value that you see in it? What impact are you truly looking to make? Because when you really believe in something, you can't keep your mouth closed. Like when you really
Yeah.
see the value and the impact that it can make, you can't keep your mouth closed. So if you're going to be that person that's timid to talk about what you do, I don't want to work with you. Like you have to see the value, you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't, we're going to work on you first, your mental, your
Yeah.
emotional, so that you can become comfortable and excited about talking about what value you have to offer. And then we can talk business. So, I'm glad that, you were able to talk your wife's ear off first, and then you mentioned it to the attorney, and then she's like, okay, well, I guess if he co-signs it, now I'll listen. So, I know how that can be.
Yep.
So, as we, get ready to go into the last 10 minutes or so, let's dive deep. What is the
Yep.
Lunch Money Club? What does it do? Who is it for? Give us the deets.
All right. Before I do that, I've got to give two more pearls of wisdom that I've
Definitely.
heard through life and through you. When you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're
Mm,
rotten. The most important thing, as you know, and we all have to continue to be green and keep growing. So as soon as you know everything, you fall
exactly.
off the tree.
Exactly.
Okay. And so I do not know everything, and I'm open to keep learning and growing, and that's my plan. There's also no close for a closed mind. And so when people hear, "Oh, that's MLM or that's direct marketing or that's this," oh, it's a tough thing. And it's like, "Hey guys, all I can do is show you the way. I can't
Mm-hmm.
make you do it." And one of the trials I found is when you start a new business, your closest allies are not, your family and your friends. They're not your biggest
Mm-hmm.
supporters. They've got you in this box and you can't get out that box. You're there, and you tell your story to somebody else, they're like, "Wow," just like you said, if you don't open your mouth and share it, you're gonna miss the boat. So, I encourage all of your followers, if you have a dream, if you have a desire, follow it, listen to what you say, because 'cause you'll lead them down the right path.
Definitely. Now,
So,
before I let you continue, I really want to like hammer home that point. And I was sitting in
okay.
a meeting in Fort Lauderdale, 2014. A gentleman by the name of Jared Wilkins. He's become super successful in the whole, online business, network marketing, yada yada yada. But it's principles, it's philosophies that I live by. He said,
Yes.
friends and family won't start to support you until strangers start to celebrate you. Now think about that.
Yep.
Friends and family, those who you assume, oh mom, oh my uncle, oh my homeboy from high school, like the people who you think will support you won't start supporting you until strangers start celebrating you. Now a lot of people will automatically react, get in their feelings, man, that's sad, yada yada. No, it's not sad. There's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Your friends and family know you based off of who you were up until who you are today. And if nothing that you've shown them in the past makes sense to why you're doing what you're doing right now, why would they want to support you? So strangers have no idea who you were and what you did. They know what you're putting in front of them right now. And in today's day of social media, we can make ourselves look like $1 million, even if we're sitting in $1 million worth of debt. So as long as
Yep.
you can paint the vision for the strangers, you can paint the vision for the people who don't necessarily know your past, you will become that individual that you kind of stuck in that situation. So when you paint the vision, they see where you're going. Your parents, your friends and family, they don't really care where you say you're going until you show them. And one of my primary business partner, a guy out of New York, he said this in one of his trainings before, and it just stuck with me. People don't listen with their ears; they listen with their eyes. I don't care what you're
Yeah.
telling me. I care what I see. You say X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
I can help you do it. Like, why haven't you done it for yourself? Let me see you
Mhm.
change your situation, and then I'll listen to you. So, I just
Yep.
kind of wanted to nail that home because so many people neglect the necessity of building a brand new network, of meeting brand new people, of expanding that group of strangers so that you have more people now that see the value in where you're going than you have people that are pulling you and tearing you down based off of where you're coming from. So just super important. So go ahead and
Yes.
go ahead and take the mic back and let us know more about this whole lunch money club.
All right. So Lunch Money Club is built so everybody involved can win. I've had experience in the past with different direct marketing, MLMs, different things. And Brian, you found and I found that most of these companies are built so the business makes all the money. And if you don't have your ducks in a row and you're balanced correctly, and this is even here, and this one you've got over here on this side, if it's not balanced, you're not making any money. And if you miss a hurdle, then you're dropped all the way out of the whole category, and then you got to work your way back up, and you got to sell all your friends, and it's not a win-win-win situation. And so what we did with Lunch Money Club, and I say it's a we thing because again, it came through me. It's not of me. So but what it is, it's designed to help everybody. And so when you do business centers, so for example, what we did with Lunch Money Club is, and I'm sorry, I get my brain's going 10 million miles an hour. I'm so excited. So what we do is we have what's called a membership. It's $37 month to month, and members can easily pop in, pop out, freeze your account, and they're going to save two to three to $4,000 a year. Up in the top, it says log in. There's a little thing that says
Hmm.
resources at the top there. You can click on that, and that'll pull up a savings calculator, and you can actually see how much you'll save, which is kind of cool. And that's a member. So you just hit join now, and you can easily pop in. Now, what we do different than any other direct or affiliate marketing company is we've designed a program specifically to allow businesses to join for free, and it's called a business
Hmm.
partner. So with a business partner, they get what's called a business unit below them, and they have a matrix. And as they refer people, we start paying that business referrals. And all we do is we ask that business to share a discount or a special offer with our members. And so, what that does for our platform, it allows it to grow infinitely. And so now members can say, "Hey, Steve, the chiropractor over here, he's the best chiropractor. We really need to get him part of Lunch Money Club." Now Steve can bring his business in, and now our Lunch Money Club members will see Steve and say, "Oh, we can get a discount there, and oh, we can do this, and we can do all these different things." And they wouldn't have seen Steve if he didn't join up as a business partner. And the last aspect of Lunch Money Club is a way so people can make
Hmm.
money. So we have what's called an ambassador, and that's a member who says, I really like this. I really want to be rewarded and help other people and benefit from that. And so for an extra $6, they can become what's called an ambassador. Now they're entitled to earn commissions. They get all kinds of things. And again, what separates Lunch Money Club is we do what are called business centers. So As an ambassador, if I know 10 people that have businesses that would like to expand their marketing reach, I invite them to join Lunch Money Club. I become an honorary founder with Lunch Money Club, and I get placed in each one of those business centers. And there's no extra cost for this. And now what happens is, as that business or Steve's Chiropractic or Joe's Dental Place or Abby's Hair Salon or Tanny's Salon join Lunch Money Club, and they tell people, hey, for Lunch Money Club members, we give you a discount. We do this, and you also get discounts elsewhere. You get a portion of those referrals in the business center. And so now it creates true passive income. So you could, if you bring in 10 businesses, you're now getting 10 separate business centers. There's no additional cost, and you're getting a piece of all those businesses. So when you look at like Robert Kiyosaki, and he talks about the quadrants and all these different things as far as making money, you got the employee, the self-employed, the business owner, and the investor. It actually puts you in a situation where you could almost be the investor, because you've put the time in, you bring in these businesses, these restaurants, these other things at no cost, and you can put up a little QR code, or they can put a QR code, and it just helps everybody win. Does that make sense, or did I go off a
No,
deep
it,
end
it
for you?
definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense, and I'm sure many people who may be listening and viewing right now, um, may be saying to themselves, "Ah, that definitely makes sense. I've heard that before. I've seen other companies that have done that, so on and so forth." And one of the things that that I mentioned earlier, and that I always mention, is you always want to look at, for one, who is the person behind what is being delivered to you. You want to learn about that individual. You want to learn about their integrity. You want to learn about their intentions. What is their track record? What are things that they've done in the past? Have they left damage? Have they left, collateral? Or have they impacted lives positively? Have they helped people build themselves up? So, when you brought Lunch Money Club to me, oftentimes you hear people say, "My business, my business, my business," but it's not really their business. They just partner with the
Yeah.
company, and they're a 1099 employee, and they call it my business. It's not really their business, but this was put together by you. So, kind of give, before I dive too much deeper, kind of give, I mean,
Yeah.
you've already given it to us to a certain degree. You decided to put this together, and I don't know if others caught it. It was on, maybe it was on another page, but your wife is helping you build this as well, correct?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. She's a she's the primary owner of the company, because I've got my other careers that I'm working on as well.
Perfect.
So this is a woman-owned business, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's fantastic for a couple different reasons. One, typically women love to support women, um, but for
Yeah.
two, there's also funding pots that typically are more available for women entrepreneurs than are for men. But a third reason why I ask you that is companies typically that are run by a partnership of actual life partners, a couple. Typically, those companies, now it can be one way or another. If there's a tumultuous relationship and they're always in scandals, this, that, and the third, is probably going to reflect in the company as well. But if they have a seemingly solid relationship, typically that's going to bleed over into the business. And the fact that a couple can run and operate a business together, that speaks volumes, because oftentimes starting a business drives a wedge between relationships. One or the other is so focused and determined on seeing it succeed that the other kind of goes in a different direction because they feel neglected. They don't feel that enough attention is being given to them. But to kind of take things back to the company in and of itself, as you referenced earlier, direct sales, anything that has tiers, anything that people hear, individuals going under you, and anything affiliate related, oftentimes comes with a healthy dose of skepticism. People are a
Mhm.
little timid to get involved because of what they've heard about, horror stories in the past of other individuals that got involved in similar sorts of companies. So first I want you to like I disconnected the screen. Um, first I yep my browser over here on my computer clunked out. Anyways, I'll get that pulled back up.
How do you make
Say again.
right. You know how to make God
Talk to
laugh?
me.
You tell him your
Right?
plan.
Tell me about it. That is so real.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, people are timid to get involved in anything, lunch money club related. From some of the things that we've shown. So,
Yes.
tell me first and foremost, what are some of the conversation pieces that you have when it comes to lunch money club, when you get pushback or you get people say, oh, it sounds like one of those things, well, come back to me when you got people making money. Like, what is your
Yep.
pushback or your rebuttal when you get that from from potential members, so on and so forth?
Well, that's one thing we found, and my wife especially, she says, "Look, people are gonna continue to spend money on the things that they wanna buy in good times or bad." And so what Lunch Money Club does, it allows people to keep doing what they're doing and easily get discounts on what they do. We don't push it. It's not a pay to play type of situation. Our goal is to bring in more
Mm-hmm.
members, and that's why we reward businesses. For example, with COVID, when the businesses got shut down for so many months at a time, we thought, well, this is a great way to help a business because if a business, let's say, referred 1,000 members, now that business is getting a small commission every single month from those people that they referred in. And those people are saving money on things that they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. So that's where it helps. And so we also don't do any long term contracts, and we set it up so you can easily go in and pause your membership. When we designed Lunch Money Club, one of the biggest things we had with the company who designs networks, they're like, Mike, you don't need to give this money away. You're doing this, you're doing that, and I'm like, it's not about nickel and diamond. It's about helping people, and that's what sets us different. Is we've set it up so everybody can get a little win, and we need little wins every day. And if you look back at the Navy SEAL trainer, and he talks about set yourself up for
David
little wins.
Goggins.
Like first thing you do, I think so. When you get out of, well, actually, no, I don't think it was David Goggins. It's actually one of the guys that
Got
brought
it.
him in. Okay, and he was doing an interview, and he says, the main thing is you got to have these little wins. And so, like for example, first thing I do is I make my bed. When you get out of bed, you make your bed. Now you've got one success, and then you get another success, and you get another success. And that's what we try to do is encourage successes and help people one little bite at a time, one little
I
piece.
love that. And I mean, just living by those types of philosophies are huge in and of, themselves. One of the things that I really pour into as people, especially in today's day, when people's money is tight, sometimes people's business is very luxury or what's the word that I like to use? We'll just go with luxury. They're selling something that
Okay.
is of luxury during a time where most people aren't financially able to spend on luxury. So ultimately, I have to tell individuals you need to know where your clients are. Not everybody is your client. Not everybody, cares to use what you have to offer. So being very specific on, okay, where am I promoting what I have to offer? Who am I talking to? What groups am I part of? because when you strategically position yourself in the right places, business will come to you. You know how they said the
Right.
student will show up when the teacher is, or the teacher will show up when the student is ready. So I have a
Yes.
client I'm working with, and earlier I'm like, I gotta connect you to. When you were speaking about, living in San Diego, she lives not too far from San Diego. I was thinking I gotta connect you to, because she's a certified travel agent. So just being
Okay.
able to kind of glean off of some of your experience, I feel will be beneficial to her. But also just that mentor mentee type of relationship, I feel like you could get value from it. Plus, just the crossbreeding, so to say, of clientele. Who knows if someone that she's connected with needs what you have to offer, and vice versa. But I say that to say, being in the right places at the right times when it comes to a business like this is so important, because there are certain people right now that, I was playing the video here, and there were questions and phrases popping up in the video about, being embarrassed by putting things back on the shelf, and certain things costing too
Yeah.
much money. There are people that just came from a grocery store trip, and they see this video, is going to touch them, and they're going to say, I got to reach out. Maybe they've seen
Yeah.
plenty of videos in the past, plenty of people have approached them saying the same thing, but the fact that you're the one in their face right now, right after they experience that, you're the person they're going to reach out to. So being very conscious of your surroundings, very conscious of what's going on in the world around us, and using that to your advantage while you're marketing. So when you see something like this, or when you see something like an article of some type of trip that went down the drains, horrible experience, that's when you really want to push yourself out there. Look, we make sure that
Yeah.
you don't have that type of experience. This, that, and the third. Our prices are at this level, and you spent this amount, and you got that experience. So being able to target those individuals that actually need and desire what you have to offer. So I was having a conversation with her, and I had to tell her, you realize, like, right now, there's not a whole lot of people traveling like there was some years back. So you have to really focus on, who can I connect with that is traveling right now. So she went to an event a few weeks ago, and it was a bridal
Yeah.
event. Bridal events, they're going to be going on honeymoons. If you're a certified travel agent, that is the prime real estate for you, because you don't have to ask them, oh, do you travel? Almost every couple is going to be traveling immediately thereafter their wedding. Not everyone, but especially someone who's going to a bridal event, they're typically someone that's going to be doing travel. So, this is kind of
Right.
me to you on this front, is looking at various different aspects of Lunch Money Club, and asking yourself, what type of function can I go to that's going to have people that are looking for exactly what I offer? And I say
Yes.
that to say, last night I did a 35-minute long workshop in this one private group, on networking, or yes, efficiently networking in today's social media era. Whereas so many of us, we have the horrible habit of, in the world, you need this, you should buy it, drop info. Yeah, no, don't say I need
Breaking
this,
up.
that. Can you hear me?
You're breaking. You're kind of
What's
breaking up a
up?
little bit.
All right, is that any better?
Big Brian.
Not any better.
It's a little bit better. Nope. Nope.
All right, I don't know what.
Could it be my Mexico internet?
Hold up.
Okay.
Yeah, I am having some glitches over here.
You kind of sound like Stephen Hawking.
All right.
Here you are. Here you are.
You know
Okay.
what happened?
Uh,
So the faculties in my phone started to get fidgety because my battery was dying. That's what it
ah.
was. So yeah, my battery clunked out on me. Anyways, what was I saying before I turned to a robot?
Oh, good question.
um, what was I saying? Come on, help me out, audience. If anybody just is still watching. Anyway, so what was I saying? Um, I don't even remember.
Well, we were talking about couples working together, and we came along like that, and um, then you went out, and I sent a message to my wife because she's in California
Yeah,
right now, and we're creating a special product for you and your
got it.
followers. That's that's not quite live, and so she's like, "Oh, it's not done yet." So it's almost ready, but we're doing something really special. So that I kind of my
Okay.
brain got sideways because I was trying
Well,
to answer that
I
while we were
remember what I was saying now. So we'll just keep it
okay,
going, and maybe
sure.
it'll give her time to
Let's
finish.
roll.
So what I was saying was the importance of knowing who needs what you have to offer. So she was at
Yes.
a bridal event, and she had all these people that needs what she has to offer, and we've been working arduously since then, putting together everything that she needs to put together to properly follow up. So, in saying that,
Yep.
one of the things that, and this is kind of a, off-camera conversation, but I can mention it here. I'm going to be working with you to look at, okay, what can we focus on product by product, or area by area, when it comes to Lunch Money Club, and seeing, okay, where is the audience? Where are the people that need this? Where are the people that need that? Um, Now I'm working with this lady, this client of mine, when it comes to the travel space, because I'm gonna have an event that I do in Miami every year in March, called the Wealth Explosion. We always have people that fly in that they need accommodations. They need to know where to go to get what, how to save as much money as possible. One of my partners out of New York, I was talking to him back in back in February. It was before the event, and we're just talking about the event. And he told me he spends $11,000 minimum every time he comes down for the event. Now, it is a very high ticket event. The top tier
Yeah.
ticket for the entire experience is over $6,000. So, it's a four
Sure.
day weekend, includes exotic cars, yachts, like the whole shindig. Um, but when he told me how much he was spending, I'm like, goodness gracious, that is crazy. Now, there's ways, just as with the with Lunch Money Club, there's ways that you can make referrals and get discounts from your ticket to attend the event. You get a commission, by bringing certain people, a certain number of individuals to the event. Anyways, I say that to say there's probably, I'm not even gonna say this probably, I'm sure there's ways that we can work with you at one capacity or another to get people to the
Yep.
event and already have things in mind on where they're gonna go to do what and how they're gonna save by doing so. So we'll definitely have that conversation because $11,000, that is a lot of money for, yes, it is like there's a lot of value that's given at that event, but $11,000 is a lot to be spending when something like the Lunch Money Club exists that can help people not have to
Yep.
necessarily come out of their pocket that much. So
Yes.
so in saying that, kind of give the audience, and myself, what has been, some of the what has been some of the, I guess you would say, the shout outs, some of the feedback, some of the positive things that people have been saying, as pertains to them taking advantage of the Lunch Money Club.
That's amazing. I'll tell you, when we start talking about hotels, like you're just talking about right now, and spending $11,000, Lunch Money Club has worked out a thing. It's called rate parity, and if you Google it, is Expedia gets a commission on the rooms that they charge, and there's empty rooms that are past that are just sitting in the hotel's inventory. We have access to those. And so when you go into Lunch Money Club's back office and you start doing a search for Miami, it'll pull up all the discounts. It'll show the best price Expedia has. And if we can beat it, it'll have a line through it and we'll beat it by this much or that much. And I've been in the hotel industry for a long time and I get discounts for being associated with different brands. Lunch Money Club has beaten my employee discount several times. Now, it doesn't beat it by much, but the employee discount is pretty steep. But if it beats it by $5, that's still $5. It's pretty amazing. We had some girlfriends who just went to New York City. They're in Greece right now, but I beat our rate and beat the best rate on the internet by $100 in some cases a night. It was amazing. Cruises, we're unparalleled. A lady friend of ours from Arizona just reached out. She has a hair salon and she doesn't go anywhere. She lives in a little small town and she's like, I really want to go to Hawaii. And so we started looking at different plans and ways to get her to Hawaii. Pulled up a cruise from LA to Hawaii, hits all the islands for two people with $7,500 was the starting price.
Mhm.
We did that exact cruise for $1,100, and then she was given $1,054 to spend on board.
That's nice.
$60 basically for a
That
$7,500
is
cruise. How
crazy.
does it get any better than that? And you don't have to book it like last minute, like a
Mhm.
lot of deals. Oh, you got to book it last minute. And when you're in Miami, you're like, oh, I can hop on a cruise last minute because the most expensive room at any hotel or cruise or anywhere is an empty room. They'd rather get some money than no
Yep.
money for that. You can actually plan this far in advance. You can go a year out if you wanted to. Alaska cruises, I mean, pretty much anything you want to do, Lunch Money has their hand in it, which is pretty cool. We've developed some really neat relationships. And with our business partner outreach, we're allowing people to bring in their favorite businesses. at no cost. They get to expand their reach. And as you know, everybody tries to put their hand in everybody's business's pockets. They're like, oh, this business is making so much. Like, so many discount platforms will charge a business a fee to join it, number one. And then they'll create a coupon and they'll take 65% of that coupon. So here you've got your small business and you've got a $100 package for, let's say, 4 or 5 trainings, right? You only get paid $35 on that. How do you make a
Right.
living with companies taken away from you? So with Lunch Money Club, you can bring your business in and say, hey, I'll give you a 20-minute consultation or a 30-minute consultation. We have a hypnotherapist who works with us in Texas. His name is TJ. He's fantastic. He has the TS the tswb.com is his website, and he coaches people. And for our Lunch Money Club members, he's given them a 45-minute free consultation just to see if you're a fit. You know, who does
Yeah.
that? And the cool thing is it doesn't cost him anything. He is expanding his reach. Now our members are reaching out to him saying, hey, TJ, I saw you on Lunch Money Club. Oh, cool. And he'll set up a time with them, and it's easy. And then when he refers people, we give him a little bit of money as well. So it's like a win-win symbiotic
Yeah.
relationship.
And
So
just listening to you talk about the Lunch Money Club, it helps. And I can only say it from my perspective. It helps people see the true value, and it helps people see that this isn't like everything else that you see out there. When it comes to all of the different types of referrals that you can take advantage of and how you can benefit from certain types of referrals, as from individuals all the way to businesses, and then all of the individuals that are affiliated with those businesses, is one of the things, when it comes to entrepreneurship. There's two different ways that I have conversations with individuals on getting into entrepreneurship. So you can start your own business, go get your LLC, register with the state, so on and so forth. That's the more hands-on, heavy lifting way. That's my preference, because it gives me ownership. It gives me. I'm just one of those people. I like to have my hands in like the nitty gritty. And then there's
100%.
the affiliate, the MLM, the direct sales side of things, where you don't even have to worry about the licensing and all of that behind the scenes stuff. You just buy your own affiliate, membership, your internal license or whatever it may be. They take care of the product development, the service, so on and so forth. And that can get you going in that space. And then you can eventually, if you decide, become an actual, true entrepreneur slash business owner. But I think it's, becoming an affiliate with something, or ambassador with the program like the Lunch Money Club, for those who are looking to kind of, let me get into this space of making money for myself, seeing the value in products, and actually referring it out to others. And that's the thing, so many of us, and it's one of the things that are used oftentimes in the direct sales space. They'll say, "Well, you tell people about the next best sandwich from McDonald's all the time. Have you gotten paid for that?" No, you haven't. That's referral marketing. Well, yes, it is. But the thing is, oftentimes people don't really look at the value hard enough in what is being offered to really understand the true value of it. So listening to you speak to the value of it kind of highlights that, and it makes people attached to certain things. Like, okay, he mentioned this. I actually do that. I actually, would benefit from that type of discount when it comes to a cruise. I'm planning on going on a cruise such time of the year. Let me reach out to this guy. So, like,
Yeah.
and it kind of goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, putting yourself into the environments where the people are that need what you have to offer. And like I mentioned, we'll speak, candidly on being able to kind of tap into some of those spaces. My network is very expansive, and across the spectrum, from academics to very successful entrepreneurs, all in between. Uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to make sure that you definitely get in front of the right people that see the value in all aspects of Lunch Money Club, and at the same time, even myself taking more advantage of it. I met you in like 2017, 2018. I probably have
Yep.
so many people utilizing Lunch Money Club because I was probably in a different state every 45
Yep.
days, 30 to 45 days.
Wow.
I was traveling and speaking all up and down the East Coast. I was in Houston, Texas, probably every 2 to 3 months. I was in Miami or New York every 3 to 4 months. And thankfully, my business relationship and eventually business partnership made it to where a lot of that money wasn't coming directly out of my pocket. It was coming from the revenue that regenerated in the company. So that
Yep.
was a benefit for me. But even with that, I could have been able to save so much money based off of what Lunch Money Club has to offer. So
Huge.
so definitely now I don't know if what your you guys have up your sleeves to show us or to share with us if it's quite ready or not. Um
It will be ready here
got it.
momentarily. My wife my wife just sent me a message. She says, "I've
It's
almost got it."
hell.
So so we did two things. First of all, Lunch Money Club is normally it's $37 month to month. It's $1.23 a day to save two, three, four, five, $6,000 depending on what you do each year. If you start doing a cruise like I did um, for our friend in Arizona, we saved her $6,000 immediately on a cruise for $37. I mean, you can't. How does it get any better
That's
than that, right?
ridiculous.
And so depending on how you use it, you're going to save right away. And what happened is we built it so you can pause it. And unlike any other company, we have what's called a blind lead autofill or weakest leg. And so what happens as the business starts putting people in, you're getting people put into your business center automatically. You're not even doing anything. It just starts to fill in and help, which is really cool. So what we normally do to be a member is $37 a month. And if you want to be an ambassador, you pay a one-time $48 enrollment fee and an additional $6 every month for your back office. And then it becomes $43 month to month to month. So what we're doing for you and your followers is we've waived the $48 enrollment fee off the ambassador because we know that you're helping several people build a legacy. And so we've waived the $48 for a limited time. It's only a one-time fee, so they'll never have to pay it. Number one. Number two, we've lowered the price of membership for a select number of people who will see this podcast and who take action. So we've dropped it from $37 down to $10 for a lifetime membership. So it's $10 month to month to month for the life of your membership.
So I tell
So,
you what we're going to do, I'm
yeah,
going to get you to send me that information directly. I am going to,
okay,
because this is going to be streaming for however many days they allow it to stream on Facebook, but this will be on my YouTube page, indefinitely. So I will connect that
yes,
information to the description area, but also include a limited time only. So once that limited time
yep,
is up, that will be pulled down. Your window has
right,
closed. But what I'll also do is I'm planning on taking a couple of clips from this stream, and we'll be able to use that
yep.
to market on social media. And within that time frame, within that window, we'll be able to kind of promote it that way as well. So we will communicate them. I don't know if that's something you want to share right now, what that specific
Well,
window is.
there's one more
Definitely
thing that I haven't even said the best part yet. So so the membership we can do for
got it.
$10. Okay. Now for any of your followers who want to try or have their own business for a limited time, they can add the ambassador membership for an additional $6. That means all in $16 month to month to a month. No activation fee, $10 for the membership, $6 for the back office. Anybody you bring in, you're going to earn commissions on. Any business you bring in, you're going to get an additional business center at no additional cost. And we've set it up so you, leading so many people, Brian, as long as they enter your code, because this is attached to you, which is 1051. That's your affiliate ID. So it's 1051. As long as they enter that, it will touch thousands of lives. And you already do that. And that's our gift to you and to all your followers. So we want to help.
So that locks them in at $16 per month.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
That's all right. I have a frozen. Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
I can hear you, sir. Yes, sir.
This alarm went off. Hold up. So I always forget to turn my alarms off. And I like using my phone because it has the best camera.
Yes.
So I leave my alarms on, and they always throw off my feed.
Yep.
So I am going to do everything I need to do here within this next. What time is it? It is
11:30 here. So probably 1:30 your time.
1:30. So the next 32 hours or so before my kids get here, um, I got
Yeah.
some work that I need to make sure I put in. Um, and you and I will be we'll connect again this evening. Just to kind of go over
Okay.
more details and make sure that we can be very specific and targeted with with pushing this
Okay.
out. I want to first and foremost say thank you for your time. Thank you and your wife for everything that you do and specifically what you have done for myself and my audience. Um, I I've been watching you, man. I've been watching you push this. I've been watching the heart that you have for what Lunch Money Club is, and it's something that I admire because so many people throw in the towel so quickly when they have something of value in their hands, and it takes me to that that picture that most of us have seen where there's the guy that's digging for the diamonds and he gives up
Yes.
right before he hits you know millions or billions or whatever. You have to
Yep.
keep your nose down, chest out, going after it. Because you never know when the person right there in front of you or the next person that you're going to talk to is the exact individual you need to blow everything up to the next level.
Yes.
Definitely. So with that being said, as we get ready to close, and I'll give you a second to give some closing remarks. But I just want to reiterate to everyone that's watching, I'm a small town boy from South Mississippi. I grew up in a mobile home where if you stepped in the wrong spot, your foot might go through the floor. Like
Wow.
I grew up in some conditions that people only see in the slummiest of movies. Now, that's not to speak negatively of my parents, of my upbringing. I had so much more than what many people have. We have to look at some of these developing worlds and be grateful for what we do have. Some of these developing countries, be grateful for what we do have. But I say that to say it's never too late, guys. It's never too late to turn everything around. It's never too late. So in 2018, when I officially started my company, Your Legacy Begins Now, that was on my heart to go out and spread the word to the world that it is never too late. You don't have to worry about what your last name was known for before you came around, what your parents went through, aunts, uncles, anybody before you. You can start today to connect with people like Michael who've gone through it and come out on the other side. To connect with people like
Mhm.
me who've gone through it, come out on the other side. To listen to those who've been there, done that, been at the very bottom and made it out, and start to apply those principles, those practices to your own life. And you can start to live your life of purpose because your legacy begins now. Not the now that I just said now, but now. Like literally every
Right.
second that ticks away is another opportunity for you to begin to live the life of your dreams. But it's a decision, and the decision is yours. And the decision you make today will impact your life tomorrow. So start making the right decisions today if you want a different life tomorrow. So, off that
Yeah.
note, Michael, are there any last words that you want to leave for the audience? Any last calls to action or anything?
So first of all, again, I got to say thank you, Brian, for having me, for helping me, for guiding me, for allowing me to be part on your platform. That's heartfelt.
Definitely.
Uh, Number two, I love that meme where
Yes.
the guy is going through and it's one more thing. It's like, oh my God, it's the best thing. The other one that reminds me of that is there's a picture of a stork with frog
Yes.
legs hanging out,
And he's choked.
and the frog hands up in that saying, never give up, never give
Yes.
up, never surrender, because you only lose when you quit. So we got to keep. I'm plugging my little computer in. You only lose when you
Mhm.
quit, and even when you maybe don't get where you want to be, as long as you've learned from it, you're growing. And when you're green, you're growing. We got to keep green and keep growing. So now I'm going to the page really quick. I'm on phone because we're mobile friendly. So here's lunch money. Let's see if it's there. So we hit join
Okay.
now. Very simple. So lunchmoneyclub.com. And then it pops up. It says enroller ID. This is where we need to type in 1051, and that's going to pull up your special offer. You hit continue. Very simple. And we're rolling down. All we need is the little red dots. We don't need social security numbers or anything like that. Once you're owed money, or like a lot, over $250, then we have to work out with the
Hmm.
1099, that kind of stuff. So we don't worry about all that stuff right up front. You scroll all the way down, and these are our items. So you scroll down to the very second to last one is the $10 for life. It's down here, buried at the bottom
Got it.
under your account. We do not have the ambassador for life at $16 quite yet, but it will be there very
Perfect.
soon. So worst case scenario, if you want to do it now, because doing now is the best time, is if you collect the Lunch Money Club for life at $10, we can do an adjustment manually for you at a later
Got
time.
it. Let
So
me, if I can find my cursor, I'm gonna drop the.
yeah,
I know as simple as it is, and I'm sure you. I mean, it's ingrained in the back of your head. Lunchmoneyclub.com. Some people are gonna say, "What's the name of the website again?" Let me type it
what's the
in
name of
the
the website
chat.
again?
Lunchmoney-
I can hear it.
Yes,
Lunchmoneyclub.com.
indeed. All right, so I did the hard work for you guys. I typed the website here in the chat. Um, should pop up any second
Re-
now. So just click on it.
reference,
Say again.
yeah, reference 1051. He's got to reference 1051 to get the special code.
Perfect,
1051,
perfect.
1051.
So what I'm gonna do as soon as I get off here, I'm gonna get Michael to send me over all of that information with the proper links and everything. I'm going to attach it to the YouTube description. I'm gonna come in and update and attach it to the description on Facebook as well. So guys, you want to go and take advantage of this offer like ASAP, like And if you
Yep.
don't know what ASAP means, as soon as possible. So, especially
Yes.
for those of you who are watching that you're planning on being at the Wealth Explosion next year, you know that we spend a lot of money down there, or you can spend a lot of money. If you're not smart, Michael with Lunch Money Club and myself will help you be a little bit more smart, save some money, but also potentially be able to make some money. So, I appreciate you again. And I got to get to California and eat some of that. Guys, this guy can cook. This guy can grill. This guy sends me pictures
Yes.
of the most like high level chef looking cuisines that I've seen. So I got to get out there.
Oh,
Crazy thing, that other you man, I'm about to write it down right now. So my client that
yeah.
lives there in California, I think she's like, isn't there like an area called like Big Bear or something? She
Uh-huh.
lives in that
Yep.
area.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think she lives like just like southwest of that area. Um, I
Yes.
was telling her I've got to get out there. When I come out there, we're gonna have to link up. But I also told her I like to kill two birds with one stone. I like to travel, but we're gonna do an event while I'm there as well, even if it's just a networking event. So best
Yep.
believe you will be there. She will be there. We're pushing out Lunch Money Club. We're pushing out her brand. We're pushing out my brand, and whoever else wants to come to the party. So let's definitely plan on that.
So how about this though? Let's make a little bit more twist.
Talk
You
to me.
ready? So we could do San Diego, right? And then we can actually do a little Mexican airline called
Okay.
Volaris and all pop down to Cabo San
We
Lucas.
talking now.
It's another 45 minutes. I've got a beautiful house here. We have a beautiful house. I've got discounts at hundreds of resorts here, and we can put a program here as well. So you could do like a two birds, three birds with one stone kind of deal.
Event, SoCal,
We'll call it the lifetime.
SoCal, and Cabo. You got my heart racing now. All right, so
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's gonna be something that I need to really. So I already put pen to paper. So we're gonna have to bring that to fruition. We'll definitely be in communication. I'm gonna bring her into the loop. I'll probably create a little group chat for the three of us, make the introduction.
Okay.
I got a lot of people. I'm not gonna say a lot. I got a decent number of people throughout California, a handful in the southern end, and we'll have to make sure we can get a nice. I like to keep it intimate, somewhat on the smaller side, so everyone can get to know one another. So, but
Yep.
we're gonna make it happen. Putting it out there, we're gonna make it happen.
Yes. The greatest journey starts
That's
with one
it, one
step.
step at a time. Well, Michael, I
That's it.
appreciate you again. Thank you for being the upstanding, the hardworking, the ambitious man that you are. Um, I love it, man. We're definitely going to be in communication throughout today and over the next couple of days and make sure that we push out this promotion. And then we're going to start setting up
Yep.
this event. So, off that note, I'm going to put you backstage real quick. I'm going to close out with my audience. Then I'll come back and close out with you. Sounds good?
All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
Brian.
Take care.
Appreciate you. And thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Another one in the books. Now, we've had a couple of episodes that have gone long. I want to say we've had at least one other that has gone about an hour and a half, but that's when you know it's good information. That's when you know the vibe is right, the energy is right, everything is right when you go, dang near 40 minutes over even after you started late. Like we got started late, we had some, miscommunication, this, that, and the third. But that's one of the things that's great. And I shared this with Michael at the beginning, before we went live. Ownership. When you own your own platform, you don't have to, worry about someone coming looking over your shoulder. Brian, you didn't start on time. Well, you know what? I am the one looking over my own shoulder. So I'll look at the tweaks that need to be made and come down on myself. So with that being said, guys, much love. Please go check out Michael. Take advantage of this, this deal that he and his wife, both owners of the Lunch Money Club, that they were able to put together for us. If you travel, if you want to start traveling, If you want to start shopping at certain places, save some money, earn some money, you want to get connected with the Lunch Money Club, you'll hear me, you'll see me, doing a little bit more as it pertains to promoting what the Lunch Money Club has to offer as I start taking more advantage of it. But keep an eye out. I'll be updating the description on this video, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, with all of the pertinent information. Um, with that being said, we'll see you back here probably in about 2 weeks with my next guest. Until then, guys, make the right connections, believe in yourself, open your mouth, let it be known what you want, what you have to offer, and the dreams that may only be dreams right now just may become your reality. But it starts right now. And just as Michael just said, all it takes is one step. We'll see you guys on the next one. Much love.